Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm in Haggai chapter 3. I'm gonna read a couple of verses, maybe verse 1 through 4. That's Haggai 1, Dooms of the Nation. It's a consecutive chapter, goes on and on. Then I'm gonna tell y'all about the story of Snow White and Cinderella and destiny swapping that's going on, or people that's dealing with it anyway. It's a sharp reproof of Jerusalem for their sins and exhortation to wait for the restoration of Israel. It says, woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. She obeyed not the voice, she received not correction, she trust not in the Lord. She drew not near to her God, period. Her princes within her are roaring lions. Her judges are even wolves. They guard not the bones to the marrow. Her prophets are light and treacherous persons. Her priests have polluted the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law, period. That's high. We're going to stop there. So, that's what she did. But let's talk about the story of Cinderella and Snow White and Destiny Swap. For people out there that's dealing with it, it didn't dawn on me until this morning that I watched this stuff for many, many years and never realized that that's what the story of Cinderella and Snow White was about. It was about destiny swapping. It was about, in the story of Snow White, it was a evil witch that was so jealous of Snow White that she was willing to unalive Snow White by poisoning her and putting her to sleep, and then gave her a certain time that she had to wake up from her nightmare, or everything about her would not be her. It would go to the evil witch, which the witch looked into her life and she seen everything about Snow White that she wanted. She wanted it so bad that she put that evil spell on Snow White and even poisoned her to make her fall into a deep sleep so that she can take what's inside Snow White and come to her, because she was jealous that there were 7 men that loved Snow White that would follow her throughout the whole land. She hated that there was animals that would draw to Snow White, even as Snow White walked through the forest. She was just so envious of her that she wanted her life. And the only way that she knew that she could get her life, that's if she unalive her. She was trying to destiny swap with her. And that's what a lot of people are dealing with today. And even with the Cinderella story, even with the Cinderella story, the evil stepmother with the evil stepsisters, what did they do to her? That's right. They tried to destiny swap. They told everybody in the land that she was a nobody. And they even just called her a servant. While all along, they was living in her house, spending her money. How about that? Living in that girl's house, telling everybody that she's a nobody. She's just a servant. And spending her money. And then they tried to destiny swap with her with the two daughters when they went to the ball. They made sure that they locked her away on the day of the ball so that no one can see her. And they knew that she didn't have any clothes. They knew she didn't have any nice dresses, no nice nothing. But they knew that that didn't make Cinderella. They knew that Cinderella was just a kind-hearted person, pure-hearted, with a good aura. And they knew that if anyone would have seen Cinderella, they'd have been like, wow, who was that? Who was that? They'd be like, wow, who was that? And they knew that she didn't have anything that she could have offered anyone, but they knew that she had so much purity to her that people would have overlooked that and still would have been like, wow, who was that? Come in. And so the evil stepmother with Cinderella, she didn't want what Cinderella wanted was a husband. That she already had a husband. She had Cinderella's father. What the evil stepmother wanted, she wanted the notoriety. She wanted the kings and queens to see her as, a equal. Look at me. She wanted the gifts. She wanted everything to be announced to her that she was the one that made this happen. So she took her daughters and placed her daughters, which was two women to make up one woman, in the place of Cinderella at the ball. And then the daughters, they tried to take Cinderella's persona and go present Cinderella's persona in front of the whole palace. Because remember, at the house, they were slobs. They didn't clean, they didn't cook, they didn't wash clothes, they didn't do nothing. They were slobs. But when they went to the palace, they tried to be all prissy, like they was just these high class people, and they always clean, and they always this, that, and this and the other. In actuality, they was the opposite. But what they did was they took Cinderella's aura, they took everything about they knew about Cinderella, and they went and presented it in front of these people. But you got to remember that Prince had good discernment. Remember, everybody else was like, look at all the women here. Like, why don't you just go pick somebody to go dance with? Like, find somebody to go have fun. And he had good discernment. He said, no, I know there's a lot of women here, but this can't be it. This can't be it, because he didn't feel Cinderella's aura. Now, when the evil stepmother stepped in him and she presented the two daughters, he looked at him like, it kind of feels like her, but it's not quite her. Because he had good discernment. He knew something was off. He knew something was off. And so the stepmother, she tried all night to try to make that destiny swap happen. She tried all night. She like, oh my God, like, just dance with one of my daughters and take their hand in marriage. Hurry up, hurry up. You know what I mean? Like, she was trying to hurry up the destiny swap, because she knew that if her daughters went back to that house, that they weren't never going to get a chance like that again. And so she knew that as long as she kept Cinderella away, that's why she kept checking her pocket for that key to make sure that that key was there. Like, okay, yeah, the key's still here. Shoot, we cannot let her out. And the whole time, they living in her house, spending her money, and going around telling people that she's a nobody. She's just a servant. And the whole time, this girl is a whole princess waiting to become a queen. The whole time. And they knew that. And even back to the story with Snow White, that evil old witch, she knew that. She knew who Snow White was. She knew that one day that a prince was going to come. He was going to find Snow White, because she looked into Snow White's future. She knew a prince was going to come, sweep her off her feet, and they were going to go off and live happily ever after with an abundant life. She knew that. But she wanted it for herself. So what she did was she cut it to Snow White's time, made her eat the apple, put her to sleep, and she was waiting for the destiny swap to happen. Remember, she was just waiting around like, whew, well, I can't wait. It's about to happen for me. She was happy. But she didn't care that she had to unalive a person to get it. She didn't care. As long as that she got what she got and wanted, she was happy. She was happy that she was able to give back that life that she chose. She chose that life. She chose that life to be a witch. She chose that life to do witchcraft her whole life in abundance to her, that she let her life pass herself by until she got so old, and she woke up one day like, wow, I'm an old witch. Don't nobody want to be around me. Nah, 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 nah. And then she seen Snow White like, well, I'll just take her life. She has a beautiful life. She has a wonderful life ahead of her. She's young. I'll just take her beauty. And see, that's where all that beauty magic comes from when y'all be talking about people taking y'all beauty from y'all. The same thing she was trying to do to Snow White. She wanted Snow White beauty. She wanted everything about Snow White. She wanted it. She wanted Snow White's voice. She couldn't sing. She sounded like a cat that got some old socks in the throat when she tried to sing. But she knew that Snow White had it all. She knew Snow White had everything, and she wanted it. Good morning, good morning. I'm talking about people that's out here dealing with destiny swap and people that have dealt with it. I'm talking about the story of Cinderella and Snow White. That it's the same stories that we're hearing today in real life. It seemed like people took fairy tale stories and they made it out of a real life situation with people. That's what they did. That's why so many stories going around online about this stuff. People looking into other people's future, seeing that they have a nice future and they want it. They want what these people got. But I'm here to tell you, remember the end of those stories of Cinderella and Snow White, right? Snow White had a victory. Cinderella had a victory. So what do you think going to happen in real life? You're going to have a victory over those people that's trying to destiny swap with you, is what I'm trying to tell you. God was with Snow White. God was with Cinderella. So why wouldn't God be with you? Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he come and do just what happened in those stories? Why won't he come and do just exactly what's happening in your story? Why won't he show up for you? So I'm telling you, don't doubt, have faith. If you're dealing with that stuff, God's going to show up for you. And he's going to show out. And he's going to take them same evil witches and warlocks, and he's going to give them just their dues. And he's going to take them same evil step parents or step siblings or whoever siblings that y'all talk about, and he's going to do just what he's going to do, what he did in those cartoons and movies. He's going to show you victory over them and show them that what they had planned and what they had going on is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. And I guarantee you, a lot of things going to change from this month on forward. A lot of things going to change. A lot of things. It's going to be a lot of people out here crying, but it's going to be a lot of things changing. And I know that for a fact. I know it. You know how I know? Because I seen it. I seen it. And ain't nothing that they can do about it but sit back and watch the clock like Cinderella evil stepmother was, watching the clock, watching time just like that witch was, watching the sea. But it never happened for them. That's what they're going to be doing. Good morning, good morning. Who all coming in? We're talking about Cinderella and Snow White story of how those people in their story tried to destiny swap with them. And it didn't dawn on me until this morning. That's what those stories was about. It was about two young ladies almost got destiny swapped by some envious, jealous people. Same stories that's going on today. Cinderella had to deal with it. Snow White had to deal with it. The only difference is that they tried to unalive Snow White. Cinderella, they wanted her to be a nobody and a servant for the rest of her life while they go off and live her life while all alone living in her house, living on her land, spending her money. But it's going to stop. I'm telling y'all, it's coming to a halt. A lot of that stuff finna stop. And so, even when Cinderella did show up to the ball, you see how everybody looked, even the young prince's dad, he even had to stop and look and say, wow, who is that? Even he had to stop. And then you see how the stepmom and the stepsisters went to acting. They was like, cause they didn't even know who she was at first. Because remember, last time they seen her, she's supposed to have been locked away in some raggedy clothes. So who is this showing up? And remember, they went whispering like, "Oh my God, she's beautiful." Like now, because they didn't know who she was, they was giving her props. You see how people are when they don't know who you are. That's when they give you your props. Remember, they went saying, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful. Oh my God, look at her, she's beautiful." And then they realized who she was. They was like, and they was stunned that they finally said that she was a beautiful person, but they didn't know who she was. But just by her being herself and they not knowing her, that made them, which was their real feelings, their real self, saying how beautiful she was. But as long as they knew that it was Cinderella, they wouldn't have said it. Same thing that's going on now. That's how people act. If they don't, if they can't realize that it's you, then you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. But if they realize that it's you, closed mouth, they're not gonna speak the good things about you. And that's what the whole Cinderella story was about these fake people out here that's gonna get their just dues. Snow White story. Same thing with the evil old witch. What ended up happening to her? Shoot, who knows? She ended up going off even more bitter. And she was saddened that she had to live the rest of her life like that. Because that was her only chance to destiny swap, and it didn't happen. So what happened to her? She was sad. She had to go off and go to live the rest of her life a old hag, and she had to go off and be in her own torment in her mind, knowing that what she tried to do to that young girl, it didn't work, and now she had to go fight a battle in her own mind, all the things that she did and all the things that's not gonna happen for her. See, now she's had to go and be in torment for the rest of her life. Same thing gonna happen to these people, y'all. They're gonna have to go off and be in torment in their minds for the rest of their lives. And even if they get older and they get around more people and they claim that they gave that life away and they claim that they're gonna go to heaven, they're not gonna go to heaven. Because what's gonna happen is God always gonna bring you up to show them in their mind why they're not gonna make it to heaven. He's always gonna bring you up. Like, yeah, I understand that you gave your life. I understand that you doing this in the community now. I understand that you're doing this. I understand that you're doing that. But do you remember this one person 20 years ago when you tried to unalive this person because you wanted this person's destiny? You remember this person? And that person gonna be so old, sitting there angry and mad because they know that they can't tell the people around them what they did, and they got to live in that misery knowing that they're not gonna make it to heaven, all because they tried to destiny swap with somebody 20 years ago. But then 20 years down the line, they want to say that they're saved. They want to say this and that and that. That's not how it works. 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 But the only thing that that person or them people can do, they can go around preaching and telling other people how not to end up like them. That's the only thing that they can do. Because you tried to not only unalive someone, you tried to take the whole personal being about them. You think God gonna forgive you for that? No. But he'll let you go around preaching good stuff about him so you can tell others. So that's why I'm telling y'all, don't worry about them people. Them people know exactly where they're going. And it's going to be a torment in their mind from the time that they did it to the time that they pass away. It's going to be torment. Because they got to deal with the fact that what they tried to accomplish didn't work. And every time that they're somewhere thinking that they're in a good place, and they're going to be thinking about all their family members that they did good about. They're going to be thinking about all their grandkids and children that they did good about. But then God always going to drop you right in their mind. Bloop, and they're going to be like, he always going to remind them, this is why you're not going to make it to heaven. So don't worry about it, y'all. All right? I'm just talking to all the ones that had to deal with Destiny Swap and dealing with it or had to deal with it. Don't worry about it. God delivered Cinderella. God delivered Snow White. He's going to deliver you too. And those people, the evil stepmother and the sisters, what happened to them at the end? They had to live in their misery. And Snow White, Cinderella probably kicked them out of her property and everything because she was a princess now. So she had that authority to speak amongst the land, and it happened just like that. What happened to the old witch? Well, she had to go off in torment, knowing that she didn't succeed in her destiny swap. So don't worry about them people. God love you, Jesus love you, so do I. And that's why I'm here telling you that you're worthy, you're eternal, you're made in us. Who is us? We God's people. That's who we are. See y'all on the next one.